I would say community is the reason that I am where I'm at today. It is the people in the community that you're with and you surround yourself with that creates all the difference. It's that whole saying of if you want to go fast, go alone, but if you want to go far, go together.
All right, Victoria, tell me about the work that you've gotten since you became a freelancer full-time and left your other job.
When people create a path and share their journey, someone else might see that it's suddenly possible, that it's a clearer path. But when you start to see that it's possible for you, it makes all the difference. Yes, marketing is good. Like, you should definitely market yourself, but you could have the best marketing in the world, and if you're not a good person to work with, then you're not going to get hired again. I think if you're going into college education, going into it with the mindset of making the classes work for you, that's what helped me in my journey, is seeing that it was possible from other people, and I want to continue to do that for everyone else. I want to be that person that shows that because I did it, they can do it too.
All right, Victoria, thank you so much for joining the podcast today. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for inviting me to be here.
So we first met a couple months ago when I was recording a podcast episode here at Leaf and Loft with my friend Isaac, and I learned that you were on the team here, and I've since recorded an episode with Mark and Sam, and you're one of the newer members here, correct? How long have you been involved with Leaf and Loft?
Yeah, so I started working here in March of 2025 this year. So my last day at my full-time job was February 28th, and literally that Monday, I started working here. So it's only been a couple of months, but it's been so wonderful.
Awesome. And what have the responsibilities included here?
Yeah, so I am a full-time member, which means I sit here and I'm like co-working, but one of the responsibilities would be managing studio rentals. So people who rent the studio, maybe they need the space and I'm introing them to the space for the first time. Maybe they're renting lights and I'm helping them set those up, but really just managing the rentals.
Awesome. Yeah, I was kind of a little jealous when I recorded here, like all the desks, because I'm really big on the space that I work in. You know, like I have a home office, but I'm always going to like local coffee shops to just have a change of scenery and be around people. So I was like, wow, it's such a nice environment in here. And I was like, I may have to move a desk in here at some point. So I'm sure that's a nice perk, or I mean, it's just a part of working in here. Just the space is great. So how have, are the rentals that you're dealing with, are most of them photographers? Is there's some video interviews, or like what are the kind of rentals that you're managing?
We get photographers, we get video rentals. We actually had someone tour the space to maybe film for a feature film here. So really we accommodate anything and anybody. Anybody's welcome. The space is just like we got white brick, beautiful worn hardwood floors. We got that historic feel. So anybody who just wants to be creative and use a space and make it literally anything that they want in any space, and in that video or photography, in a big feature film project, in a small commercial, in a studio shoot for headshots, really anything. We've kind of seen it all.
I love it. Yeah. I mean, of all the studio spaces that I've used around Lancaster, I mean, this is definitely in the upper tier. I mean, there's a lot of factors that go into a space, I think, but there's just, some things about the character that you just can't, it's not easy to just replicate in any ordinary space, just like the hardwood floors and everything. It's that's so important for like something that we're doing today with like having like a podcast set or something. So yeah, Leaf and Loft, highly recommend.
Yeah.
So let's jump into your background as a creative. So I know that you said you studied at Millersville. What did you study there?
Yeah, I studied media arts production. So that is their broadcast program, their documentary classes, anything related to the camera. I was in all of those classes.
Awesome. And then you said, and we'll dive into like education. I like talking about that. But then you said after graduating, you worked as the digital media specialist at Millersville. So how was that similar and different to what you did while studying there?
That is a great question. So, I was the first ever digital media specialist for Millersville University. So I was almost like creating the role. And it took a lot of the things that I was learning in classes for composition, for color, for editing, for how to craft a story. And I was able to directly apply that even as a student. I worked there as a student intern and a student worker, even before I got hired full time. So I was able to take what I was learning in class and apply it in a real world scenario, marketing the university and all of the departments and talking to the students and seeing what they were doing, and then seeing what that output was on social media and the views I was getting or comments. So it really directly related to what I was learning in class. And it was just that extra push to be able to then do it beyond class.
I love that. And what are your thoughts on just all the different ways to educate yourself as, a creative? I've talked about this on so many of the podcasts that I've done where, I did 2 years of college. I don't know if you overheard, but like my background is, I took a unique path. I did 1 year at Messiah University studying film, and then I transferred to Temple in Philly. And I loved the time I did at both of them. It was kind of interesting because it was a small suburban private school and a much larger public school in the city. So it's like different size film programs, different offerings there. And then, when the pandemic hit, I dropped out and became a full-time freelancer. So I kind of took like a unique path and sort of got the best of both worlds in a way. And then, like, as I mentioned on the previous podcast with Mark, like I have, my parents are creative entrepreneurs. They have a graphic design business. So I was able to like freelance in high school. And build up some stuff around that. So I just say that to like demonstrate that there's like, I have a very unique path and people can take different paths in terms of like educating themselves. But like, what were the biggest upsides or takeaways from studying media at Millersville, do you think?
Yeah, that's a really good question, because I think as someone now in the field, I learned a lot at the university I was at, but I also learned a ton more on set. And so there's that argument of, do you need that college education or can you start in freelancing? I think if you're going into college education, going into it with the mindset of making the classes work for you, what classes are you taking and what can you gain from that class that can apply to the thing that you want to do? And if you don't know what you want to do, how can you take those classes to figure it out? I feel like college is a great time to experiment and figure out what direction you want to go and like try all the things: music, psychology, art, media production, whatever it is that you're excited about. Just taking those college classes, or I even did, I created my own class. I kind of forget like how we did that, but it's how can you create the experience for yourself? You're getting from it what you put into it. And I also think there's a huge connection and networking piece to it of these people that you are sitting in class with and doing projects with, you might be also working with in the field. And it doesn't just mean media students. It could be biology students or psychology students in different fields. So going at college with that mindset of how can you take the education and the things that you're learning, if there's something that you're not learning, how could you make that happen for yourself? I never had that mindset going into it, but I learned that over time. And I was like, oh, okay, I see how this can be beneficial.
Yeah, you truly get out of it what you put into it. And like for me, I think, I enjoyed some of the classes that I took. But for me, it was just the people that you met were like the most valuable and long lasting thing. And just on like personal friendships, like I went to 3 weddings last year of like people that, are like my college friends, which is great. And then like the people that I hire for things or just from like a filmmaking perspective are people that I met in the film program in college. So that's like one of the biggest takeaways, like from my experience, I would say. But I love that mindset. So after working as the digital media specialist, this was in March of this year that you left that role, right?
It was.
Okay.
Yeah.
So tell me about that whole decision. And it was funny when you, when I messaged you to be a podcast guest, you kind of said that it's because of podcasts like yours that convinced me that like I could do it. And I thought like, oh no, like I should like put a disclaimer on these episodes that like, please quit your job at your own risk or, I'm kidding. But I think that's great. But tell me about like what factored into that decision. Like, were there things that inspired you to say like, okay, I can go for it now and be like a freelancer, or just tell me about that decision?
Yeah. Okay. So I think I'll start with when people create a path and share their journey, someone else might see that it's suddenly possible, that it's a clearer path. Like maybe you want to do something, but there's not a clear path for you. And so it would be podcasts or people that you meet or movies or whatever that kind of like sets that stage. And you're like, oh, I see that it is possible. Or I see that it's possible in Lancaster. Maybe it's like, oh, this could be possible for someone else somewhere else. But when you start to see that it's possible for you, it makes all the difference. So when I was at Millersville, I started to really feel like I need to do something more. Like I just like felt it in me. And a part of me making that transition was trying to network and meet with people as much as I can and ask them what they loved about their jobs, what was hard about it. I expressed, I think I want to do this thing and I have no idea how. I was absorbing all the information that I could. And I clicked on a podcast that happened to be the Silo Community Podcast. And I was just clicking like random titles. And I was like, oh, that sounds good. And I remember cooking and I remember hearing them say that they were shooting at Passenger Coffee in Lancaster City and Samuel Lewis State Park. And I literally stopped cooking and I was like, wait, these people are local to me. And so then I really paid attention. I'm like, these people are making a living doing the thing that I want to do. So like it gets the gears turning of, okay, there's something inside me that wants to do it, but these people are doing it. So I'm like, okay, so there's this community here. I can get connected. I started just networking. I was working on top of my full-time job, freelancing. I was literally like 8 to 4:30 work, and then I would like eat dinner in the car and then drive to a set and like freelance. So I was doing all this stuff, but it was still like so scary to make that jump. I'm salaried and it's comfortable and I like my job, but I know I want more. So a part of that, there was a couple of things that was happening because I was networking and meeting with people like Mark Yang, who he sat down with me and he was the person who was like, hey, March is a good time to quit. So I was like, someone needs to, I'm like, I need that tangible, like, when do I quit? How do I do this? Is there enough work for me out there? It all seems so scary. And he was like, yeah, if you quit in March, like we had spoken in December, then you can spend the next 2 months telling people that you'll be free and maybe you can get that momentum going. And also around that time that I was thinking of quitting, and maybe this is like a hard hitter, but I found out that my cousin had cancer and she's 28 years old, super healthy, super fit. And so finding that out hit me like a ton of bricks. And I was like, oh my gosh, why am I waiting to do this thing that I really want to do? So it was like a whole mix of events and me like thinking about it for a whole year, and then her getting her cancer diagnosis, and then me meeting the right people and like those doors opening to where I was like, I can't ignore this any longer. And then I made a decision that February 20th was going to be my last day. And then I would just start the freelance journey and whatever that looked like and just see how it goes. So there was a lot there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing all that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I often think about the journey, like for me, like I moved to Lancaster. It's going to be 4 years in April that I've been here. And like I did college for a year in Mechanicsburg. I'm from the Philadelphia area. It was kind of random, honestly, but I just wanted like a change of scenery. And I kept thinking, people would ask me like, why are you here? Or like, what brought you here? And, most of the work I do is remote and I wasn't really like networking or didn't have many things local to here. I had a couple things, but it wasn't like the reason why I moved here. And I kind of realized that it's, there's like it's for a reason. I just don't know yet. Or like everything will work out if you're just like doing the right things or you have the right like intentions. And if you put effort into networking and meeting people and things like that, which I think is a perfect segue into like the community topic. Because I was talking about this, I recorded with Austin Gingrich on Friday, who I know there's the Silo event tonight that we're both going to.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was talking about this with him where like the first 3 years that I lived here, I just kept to myself. I did all remote editing work. I didn't put any effort into seeking out community, like not realizing how important that is. And just from a business perspective, like I didn't really have any local work around here or wasn't collaborating with anyone. And then, I started going to like these networking groups. I could go to like a run club almost every week and doing these podcasts. And it's opened like so many new doors and connections. And I just think, talk about like the role that community has played in all of this, because it's done like wonders for me actually being like, this is like a light bulb moment of being conscious of like, okay, I need to be putting effort into this, not just from like a business perspective, but from like personal life, social connections, friendships. So can you just talk about, I don't know, the role the community's played for you as a whole, but also specifically to your freelance or professional journey?
Yeah. Absolutely. So I would say community is the reason that I am where I'm at today. So, man, without community, the people that I have met, and this was all part of the journey of deciding if I wanted to freelance and when I would do it and how I would do it. I started putting myself in more networking situations and was terrified to network. I was like, I don't know how to do this and how to go up to people and be like, here's who I am and who are you? But the more I put myself in those situations, the easier that it got. I realized through doing that, and then also through quitting my job and I really went at it with community. Like, people are so willing to build you up and help. And I think that was something that I was craving when I was at Millersville. I really wanted that community, that creative community that could bounce ideas off of and be around people who are better than I was. The community, whether it's your social community with your family, your friends, and them being supportive and saying, you can do this, to the people that you network with who maybe have been in the business for years beyond you, or maybe they're right where you're at and you guys are doing it together. Those people have gotten me where I am. It's meeting those people and also being on set with them and being that calm, welcoming presence and that happy person on set that they're like, oh, okay, you are really interested in this. Do you want to help with this? And it continues to open doors. It unfolds so quickly, just being that kind person. And so I think that's like the only reason that I'm where I'm at now. Like and I want to get better at this, but I barely post on social media or have not really updated my website. And I need to do those things, but it is the people and the community that you're with and you surround yourself with that creates all the difference. It's that whole saying of, if you want to go fast, go alone, but if you want to go far, go together. So that's what I feel like everybody's doing here in Lancaster.
I can totally relate to that of, the networking, because I said that I was lacking in terms of community building, in terms of like friendships and things like that. But I've had pretty consistent business networking, like not in Lancaster. Like I've had like contacts in Philadelphia and like remote editing around the country, like pretty consistently before that. But it's interesting how you said like you haven't really updated your Instagram or your website, but you've still like been gaining traction with these things. And it's like a rolling snowball. If you're just like, if you're a memorable person that is like well-intentioned and genuine, like people remember that. And then you'll get referred based off of that alone. It's not like everything, but it's like a big component of it. Like, I know marketing people will probably, it's like, oh, this is not good advice. Like you need to put effort into like your personal branding. And I've been doing more and more of that recently, but everything, the word of mouth, the business that I've gotten has been through the people that I've known. And that's like the advice that I would give to people, is to just put effort into that, put something on the calendar if it's a networking event and go do it, and get good at like articulating what your services are and what you're all about, and not just say like, I'm Dylan and I do video stuff. Like, what does that mean? So like actually have like a mission statement and know what like your values are, and just know how to like articulate and carry yourself and be a people person, even if you're an introvert, because I'm like a big introvert, and I have tried to like not use that as like a limiting factor, and that's like an essential part. I think if you're going to be self-employed and work for yourself, you're going to have to learn how to be a people person, whether it's like you're on set, you're on sales calls, you're at networking events, and you're going to have to be like, try to find that like magnetic energy that people want to come back to. And yeah, so I love all of that. I don't know if anything else came to mind there. But.
Well, yeah, no, I was just going to echo, like, I feel the same way. I'm very introverted, and like, I definitely like, I'll be on set all day and I'm like glowing and bubbly. And then I go home and I'm like curled up in my blanket. I'm like, oh my gosh, give me like 10 minutes to just decompress. But I feel like anybody can learn to network. Like, I wouldn't say, like, don't be scared, I guess, to put yourself in those situations. I think putting yourself in situations that you're scared of, like networking. Or I remember I was like, oh, I really want to talk to people about that it is possible, all these things about you can quit your full-time job if that's something that you want to do, and here's how you do it and all that. I'm like, I want to do that, but I'm scared to talk to people or in front of a big crowd. And so literally like finding those opportunities and putting yourself in them and just practicing it over and over, you can get better, and you kind of get out of your head about it, and it becomes easier each time. So yeah, it is possible. There were so many things that you said that I was like, yes, 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 and yes. And even just like the marketing part, I think I echo, yes, marketing is good. Like, you should definitely market yourself. But you could have the best marketing in the world, and if you're not a good person to work with, then you're not going to get hired again. So it's both. It's like a balancing act. And I was talking to Millersville students the other day, and they were like, we're about to graduate. Kind of like, do we need a demo reel? Do we need a website? And I'm like, have some type of portfolio, have something that like proves that you're doing the work, and be updating it over time. But it does not need to be perfect right off the bat. Just proving that you're human, and like removing that barrier so that people can contact you. Make it easy to contact you and work with you. Word of mouth is going to take you far, but if they can't find you or find a way to contact you, then it's kind of useless. So removing that barrier, making it easy to talk to you, having something out there to be like, here's the work that I'm doing. You can work at that marketing and get better over time. It doesn't need to be perfect right off the bat. So yeah, it's all like a balancing act and a journey.
Yeah, I think if you wait for perfection in order to post your work, then you'll never post anything. Like, that's the whole mentality that I've had. I mean, my work has obviously like improved over the years, but I still have, moments where if it's for my own content I'm trying to do for my personal brand, and if I'm like, oh, well, this could be, the lighting could be a little bit better on this, or I could have delivered this opening line in a better way or something. You have to get beyond that and just post it and learn for the next time, and just like waiting for perfection will slow you down. Like, one example of that is, it was Sam Interante did, when we recorded that other podcast, he took some portraits of me, and like, the one of them was like the home run. It was like perfect. But then he was nice enough to take like some alternates and gave a few of them to me, and as like a bonus. And there was like a couple of them were good, but I'm like, oh, it's perfect, but my hair doesn't look quite right. Or like, I wish that my hands were like this instead of this, or it would have, I can just go down the list of like critiquing things, but then I'll show it to another person will say, I think that looks great. Like they don't even notice those small little things. So, I totally can relate to that whole, like, I don't know, if you're building like a demo reel or something, especially when you're like starting, you just have to have a catalog of something, and that will more show that you have done things and that you're putting something together, and the becoming a people person can sustain you through that phase of trying to like refine your craft a little bit, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. That's exactly where I was getting at. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So when I was here in August, I don't know why I remember this, but you said that you were editing a podcast as well. So tell me about the work that you've gotten since you became a freelancer full-time and left your other job. Like, what kind of work has it been? Like, is it editing, production, a little bit of both? What have the sources of that work been? Just from like a very like tactical level of like where I got this project because of this. Because sometimes like that can be really helpful for people to connect the dots because a lot of this can seem like very abstract. Like we're talking about, just network and you'll get work eventually. But I think if people hear some real world examples of like, I edited this and I got it because of like this connection, I think that stuff is always like really helpful. So can you talk about the work you've been getting and like the sources of where it's come from since you left your job?
Yeah, that's a really good, really good thing to talk about. When I first quit, I'll say I started with applying to a grant, and I had to have a business coach, and that business coach forced me to, not forced me, but she was like, fill out this paper that says all of the things that you're going to do. So like I had a clear picture of what I wanted to offer to people. And it involved video, photography, and editing. It involved doing weddings, it involved branding, it involved being an assistant on sets, no matter how big or small. And so those were the things that I was going after. So at first, my connections, those people that I had been networking with previously, I was like, hey, I'm free. And they were like, all right, we need a video, or we need something edited. Or I started working at Leaf and Loft, and the people at Leaf and Loft were like, we could use some help on this, and I'll connect you to this client. So it was all coming through connections. There's a lot to tell here. A lot was going on set. So like if I went on one set and I'm like, here's all the things that I do, what I want to do, put me wherever you need me, because I like it all. I like video, I like photography, I like editing, I like lighting, sound, art, props. Put me wherever you need me. It was through that people were like, oh, okay, try this, try that, try that, try that. And then those people would then refer me to other people, and I was just continuously getting on set or editing or doing those work through those connections. But a really interesting story that I wanted to share was I was on my first feature film, and that sounds really glorious and perfect and amazing. I was a production assistant, so it was 12-hour days and me running around. I was a production assistant in the production office, and they had me switch between art and props and wardrobe. Maybe like I did like cast driving stuff as well. So I was going between all these departments, doing all these things, all this paperwork as much as I possibly could. And the story here is that I did all of those tasks, no matter how boring, no matter how exciting, with 110%. It didn't matter what it was. I was like, I'm just going to do it to the best of my ability. And one of those tasks was not every day, but most days, I was tasked with getting a smoothie for one of the actors. It's not glorious, but he had so much makeup on that he couldn't eat. So I had to get him a smoothie so he could have something and continue to work. That's just to say, like, there are so many tasks that are not super exciting, but doing that with a smile and excitement and just happy to be there got someone to say, oh, Victoria's interested in photography, and I know another guy who needs a photo assistant. I'm going to connect you with him after this feature film. And I was like, that's amazing. So you never know what doors are going to open from doing those small tasks or those big tasks, just with a nice energy and just being like, I'm happy to be here. And so from that connection, I got connected with a guy named Bob Paulette, and he photographs a wide range of things. One of those being gymnastics stuff. So like gymnastic leotards that gymnasts wear. And that led me to then get to travel for the first time. I went to Texas to shoot with Olympic gymnasts, and I also got to meet Simone Biles, which was so exciting. And so I wanted to like share that story to be like, it literally is doing things with the best genuine mindset that you have, every task at 110%. And that could lead you and open doors that you wouldn't know are possible, or that you didn't even know were doors that you could open. They didn't even exist a couple months ago for me. So that's like one story that like led from a feature film to photography to then travel to then meet somebody that I look up to.
Yeah, I love that. And there are so many similar moments that have happened like that for me, where you have to realize that if you're going to go to a day on set or you're going to do a job, it's not necessarily just for a paycheck. It's for like, who could I meet on this set that could hire me for something else? Or they at least I'm on their radar if they need someone in the future. And it's just those people that you're meeting. Like there was one time, like a friend of mine, he has like a wedding film business, and I wasn't really big on doing like wedding films, but I was the second camera for him a couple times, and I'm like, I'll just help him out. So there was one that he actually couldn't be there, and he filled in. He sent someone else to fill in from him, and then he brought his friend as like a production assistant. And I just thought I was going to be going to that, just working with this guy that I like knew from college. I'd done a couple weddings with him before, but I went to this and I met two other great like-minded people who I've recorded stuff with before, like, or after that. And they're like good friends now. And that wouldn't have happened if like I hadn't gone to that thing that seemed like really mundane. Like, oh, I'm just going here to help out a friend and just to, make a couple $100 extra this weekend. But that like opened a door to new friendships and new connections that I didn't even like think was possible going into it. So I think that's like good encouragement. It's like you're saying, for if you just have that enthusiasm for even like the smallest tasks, like people will recognize that, because that shows through in the work that you do. If you enjoy doing what you're doing, like people can tell, as opposed to if you're just going through the motions to like just get paid and move on, which I mean, it's important to do things to get paid, but like just to have the genuine excitement about it is it's a reflection in your work for sure. So did anything else come to mind?
Not necessarily. I was just like, yeah, that's literally, it's a part of marketing, but it is really being that good person to work with. I remember even thinking when I was thinking of quitting and I was meeting with people, someone did say to me, half of the battle is just being someone who's good to work with. And they're like, if you have that, you're pretty golden and you'll acquire those skills as you go on. You don't have to be someone who has all the knowledge right off the bat, but you have to be willing to learn and be that nice person on set. So, yeah.
Absolutely. So what are your goals as a freelancer for the next, let's just say, year? Like where do you see yourself going in terms of the work that you're doing? Do you want to keep doing a variety of different things, or do you want to eventually, get more specific or build like an offer around the services that you're doing? And is that going to be like reflected in your personal brand and all of that? Just talk about like where you see your freelance career going in the next couple months.
Yeah. So I definitely want to hone in on my offer for branding for small businesses. I love doing that. I love hearing, it's one thing to tell that story and just be like, put it out and give it to the client. But I like creating that space that small businesses can sit down, tell me their story, tell me their why, tell me who they are, and they get that moment to reflect on how far they've come. That's been so exciting. So I want to do more of that work for small businesses. There's so many cool small businesses in Lancaster and the surrounding area. So that's something I want to hone in on my offer and market that more. I want to continue with, I do weddings, engagements. Assisting on set is always a wonderful time for me. And I love helping other people's vision come to life and being a part of that crew. And we're all just working super hard to make that happen. So I want to continue with what I'm doing, hone in on my small business branding. And I also want to share more of my story on Instagram and just be like, here's what I did and the things I've been learning, just so that other people can see it is possible. And that here's things that are important, that it gives that path. It sheds light on that path for other people. So that's really what I want to focus on.
That's awesome. Yeah, I noticed, like you said, you did that. You spoke to the Millersville students. Do you see that as an important part of, well, I know you just said that posting what you're doing on social media serves as functions in that way of inspiring people. But do you see being like a role model or like mentoring other people as like a potential part of like what you want to spend time doing, like as you freelance as well? Like anything just beyond the posting, like any direct, I don't know, like working with college students, like do you see any potential there as well? Or
yeah, absolutely. I want to be some type of mentor or speak in some type of capacity. I want to be that person that that shows that because I did it, they can do it too, and whatever that looks like. I just feel like that's such a important thing. That's what helped me in my journey, is seeing that it was possible from other people, and I want to continue to do that for everyone else, that anybody who needs it. So I don't know what that will look like. I'm kind of just open to seeing what happens, or if there's an opportunity like a podcast or like speaking to students, going into a class or being a one-on-one mentor. I'll probably just take it all on and see what sticks, and in what ways I can share that story. So Instagram is one vehicle of that, but speaking at events or sharing my story in other ways, especially as I learn and go through it. It's like I'm kind of like this at the baby stages of my business. So I do want to take people along that journey to see where it goes and what happens, and then hopefully give people the permission, and that probably sounds interesting, right? But like the idea that they can do it, like
encouragement.
Yes. Yeah, the encouragement, right? That they can do it too. So yeah.
Awesome. If anyone wants to reach out or discover, I know you said that your website is under construction currently, right? But
yeah.
If anyone wants to get in contact with you, where should they go?
Yeah, they can go to Instagram. It's Creatively VP, and my full name is Victoria Pappas, so I think they are the same on there. Message me on Instagram, follow along, and if anybody ever has any questions, they can feel free to reach out about anything. Could be media related, could be how do I continue on this journey, what's possible for me, and if I don't know an answer, I would love to connect them with people that do.
Awesome. Well, Victoria, thank you so much for the time, and I'm really looking forward to seeing where your freelance journey goes, because it's exciting to me when people, take that leap and go for it. And like, I love the mindset that you have. So I'm sure that there will be a lot of success ahead for you. So thank you.
Thank you.